So in this section, we're going to be learning about Moses, the Ten Commandments, and the exodus of the, the Israelites from Egypt back to the land of Canaan and the process that took. So let's start out by talking about Moses. So the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. While they were there, they needed somebody to build the pyramids. And so the Israelites were actually the ones that built the Egyptian pyramids. They helped to do that. Not out of choice, but they were forced to. Now, in the Torah, it talks about as a baby, Moses was found in a basket on the Nile River. And he was then raised by the Pharaoh's daughter. Moses believed that God was telling him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. And so there's a long story about how Moses was doing this and trying to get the Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. Now, after they escaped from Egypt, the Torah talks about the Ten Commandments. So in the Hebrew Bible, it says that Moses was given the Ten Commandments on top of Mount Sinai. These laws became known as the Torah and the first part of the Hebrew Bible. They describe a covenant, and a covenant is an agreement with God. So they made a covenant with God to follow the laws in the Torah. And now these became the basis for moral laws that the Israelites had as well. So not only were they religious laws, but they were also laws that they had just for everyday life as well. Now let's move on to the Promised Land. So the Israelites escaped from Egypt, and it took them 40 years to reach the land of Canaan. And this was to be their Promised Land. They were going back to the Promised Land. Moses died before they reached the land of Canaan, and Joshua took his place, and he led the Israelites into battle against the Canaanites. And now remember, the Canaanites are the Phoenicians. So they were this great big trading civilization. But they lived in the land of Canaan, which the Israelites wanted. So they took over the land of Canaan, and the land they seized was then divided among the 12 tribes. And so that's where we are up until this point. They left Egypt. They left for Egypt because there wasn't any food. Then they try to go back, and it takes them 40 years to get back to the land of Canaan. And then when they get to the land of Canaan, they take it over, and then they divide the land among the 12 tribes.